Good morning, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to be part of what's been a great program so far, and I'm looking forward to being part of this panel. I'm going to kick this off with just a few minutes of introductory remarks about how we got to this point. We're at the point now where we are about to release this report on the integration of STEM, arts, and humanities. In fact, the study director of the report at this very moment is either putting the final touches on the report or is delivering her first child. As of 8 o'clock this morning, she was working on the report, but it's an hour has passed, and today is her due date for both the report and the baby. So let's hope the baby cooperates and stays comfortable for another 6 or 8 hours, right, Mr. Chairman? So how did we get to where we are now, which is about to release this report and then soon launch a one-year very intensive dissemination campaign? Well, I got to the National Academies about 3 years ago and assumed this role as director of the Board on Higher Education and Workforce. And we actually are taking our title of our board seriously, Higher Education and Workforce. How can we better align the experiences of students as undergraduates and graduates with what they will experience in the workforce, whether they go into STEM fields or some other field? And so we're doing a number of studies related to graduate education, early career scientists, new opportunities for women and underrepresented minorities in science. We're doing a study on sexual harassment and its effect on women's careers in science. So we're trying to do things that look at opening the door to success in the workforce and aligning what goes on at the undergraduate and graduate levels. So about 2.5 years ago, I was in a conversation with two Academies staffers, colleagues of mine, and I said, I want to do this study on, and our board would like to do a study that looks at the integration of STEM, arts, and humanities. And one of them said, don't say that four-letter word, humanities, in this building. You'll get thrown out. And I said, no, that's not true. I think the academies will embrace this study. The other person said, you don't have to do that study. We already do integration at the undergraduate level. Like if you're an engineer, you can take an elective in English and art if you want to. I said, that's exactly not what we're talking about here. That's the problem. That's not the solution. And so we organized a small planning group of scientists and humanists and artists and held a little workshop, actually about 2.5 years ago, at the Carnegie Institute for Peace, which we thought was a good symbol of what we're trying to get at here with this work. And out of that came the idea of a 2-year consensus study looking at this question, and it's a very particular question. What is the evidence of the benefits of more integration of arts, STEM, and humanities in the experiences of undergraduate and graduate students in this country? And so that's a loaded question. It calls into question things like, what do we mean by STEM, arts, and humanities? What do we mean by the benefits of integration? What do we mean by integration? And I think most importantly, Mr. Chairman, the question was, what do we mean by evidence? Because wherever we went across the country, and we had a number of meetings here in Washington and across the country, we would raise this question and we'd ask people, just for fun, how many people think better integration is beneficial to students? And everyone would raise their hand. And then we would say, where is your scientific evidence that it benefits students when you offer them these experiences? And not as many hands stayed up. In fact, most didn't. And so that was the struggle we faced. And so the first challenge, and really where my work ended, fortunately, was to find the best possible chair and the best possible committee for this project. And so my colleague Ashley and I took a trip over to the Smithsonian one day, and we met with David Skorton, and we asked him 2 questions. Who would be the best chair for this study, and can you begin tomorrow? And he said he was very gracious about it. He asked actually the same question. He said, I love this stuff. I love integration. What we are standing in the middle of what represents true integration. But where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? And again, our response was, you have 2 years to find out, Mr. Chairman. And we appointed a great committee. You'll see 3 members of the committee on the panel today. They were joined by 18 others, I believe, distinguished scientists, distinguished engineers, distinguished physicians, a number of distinguished humanists and artists who really grappled with this issue. What do we mean by integration? What's the evidence? And how do we convey, how do we tell this story in a way that will not say, this is the answer, this is the silver bullet, this is the magic bullet, but how do we generate conversations on your campuses and in the boardroom and in businesses and actually, on Capitol Hill around this topic? Is there value? What are the benefits? And what's the evidence that there is value of this kind of integration? And that was really the charge of the committee. And on approximately May 7th at 10 a.m., you'll have the opportunity to participate in the release of our report if all goes as we hope, because we do intend to release the report this spring and hopefully on May 7th, and then launch into a one-year-long, very intensive campaign where we will have events here in Washington, but we'd love to come to your campus and have town hall meetings and conversations around the findings and recommendations of this report. So that's by way of introduction, Young Moo, and I look forward to the conversation about what the result will be. We won't be able, I'm going to say right up front, we can't talk about what the report will conclude because it's not done, and according to our rules and policies, we can't give you a preview. But we can talk about the process, and we can talk about your ideas, and I think for that reason this will be a very engaging and interactive session. Thank you.